Hello, good morning, and thanks for joining me on Business. Negotiations with Ghana to sign the full Economic Partnership Agreement, EPA, will not be affected despite UK's exit from the European Union. That is the assurance coming from the head of EU delegation to Ghana, William Hanna. George Wiafe has more.
The United Kingdom over the years has been the favorite destination for goods coming from Ghana. For instance, the country earned over £1 billion in revenue in 2014 from exports to that country. Therefore, for some analysts, it's not surprising that the recent decision by a majority of British nationals to vote massively to exit the European Union has got a lot of businesses in Ghana here thinking about the status of the dealings with the UK when it comes to their exports. Some have also argued that looking at the trade relations and volumes of trade with the UK, it is likely that Ghana will abandon discussions on the Economic Partnership Agreement with the EU in order not to miss out on the UK market. But head of the EU delegation to Ghana, William Hanna, says this will not happen.
The United Kingdom remains part of the European Union until such time as these negotiations start and are concluded, and it could take some time. So I don't see any implications at all for the Economic Partnership Agreement. We will continue as before. The basic arrangements that we have put in place, in my opinion, those will continue the negotiations as before. And then we'll have to see further down the line, but I personally foresee great changes there.
Sources close to the EU have indicated that it could actually take about 2 years for the UK to actually exit the economic and political grouping. So firms in the country that export to UK should not be worried about a sudden disruption to their business because of this development. The Economic Partnership Agreement currently guides Ghana's trade with the EU. It ensures that Ghana can export 100% of goods and services to that market duty-free and quota-free.
And in a related development, Acting Trade Minister Hannah Tete has indicated that signing the EPA will be based on recommendations from all stakeholders. She says government want to have everyone on board in reaching a decision on signing the pact.
We are representing a country, and in a country, of course, you know that there are very different stakeholders. It's important because people always ask the question, what happens if we get duty-free imports coming in from the European Union, and what impact does it have on the Ghanaian private sector and Ghanaian small and medium enterprises? There has been clarity in that discussion, so it's one part of the process that we have to engage, but it's not the only part. We have a deadline. Now, it is our choice whether we meet that deadline or not, and that's the reason why we're having a discussion to build consensus, but understanding that if we don't meet the deadline, there are also consequences. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, are we ready to take those consequences if we don't?
Someone would ask that, how are we going to say?
And if you ask me that question and you expect me to give an affirmative answer one way or the other, you're saying that all of these discussions are of no relevance, and that is not the case.
Away from that, the Center for Economic and Business Research, CEBRE, is pushing for the country's power distributor, ECG, to be completely privatized. The Kumasi-based policy think tank believes this is the only way to improve the country's fortunes sustainably. A team, including expatriates, began a detailed revaluation of ECG's fixed assets last week after President Mahama's recent justification of government's decision to privatize the company. CEBRE says the concession agreement, which will see government take over the management of ECG from a private investor after 25 years, will not be prudent. Executive Director Gordon Newlove Samoa blames the current financial and operational woes of ECG on political expediency.
If I'm going to invest my money, I have to invest for a longer period so that I can get returns on it. Now, assuming that within the 25 years, the private sector is able to turn around ECG and it's now profitable, you give it back to government who is inefficient in managing the ECG, and within some 3 years, it will go back to the problems that we are facing now. So there's no point, let somebody turn the company around and give it back to government to mismanage it again. So for us, we propose that if government is going for partnership, private sector participation, it should be a permanent thing so that they continue to run the organization on a permanent basis so that it doesn't revert back to government for government to come and now interfere, appoint the incompetent board and so on and so forth again. Government as an institution is not efficient in doing business because at any point in time, government is interested in the next vote, in the next election. So policies that would will let the government win election is what they will pursue. But they will not pursue business policies that will lead to the organization growing and making sure that they are producing at cheaper cost in the long run for the consumer to benefit. So they may end up employing more people that they don't need. So for instance, if they need like 1,000 people, they may employ about 2,000 people because they need to get jobs for the boys. And all these things go to increase the cost of operation for ECG, and you and I have to pay through the bills. So when we have competent people on board as private individuals, they know that bringing in so many people that we don't need will increase costs, and that will go against our investment. Therefore, we make sure that we only employ people that we need.
And that's all in business on News Desk. Thanks for your attention, and come again at midday for more news updates. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Biafe. Up next is sports.